Hello again, welcome to my channel, Midnight Oil Software. I'm Greg, and on this channel I talk about digital art and game development using Unity. Now if you watched my stream yesterday, you'll see that I ran into an issue when I tried to expand the target area for some mobile controls. I wanted the controls to be a little bit more forgiving. I found on the mobile device that was very frustrating, where I thought my finger was on the control and then I was a little bit off of it and I press what I thought was a fire button and nothing would happen. And you can imagine how frustrating that would be. I mentioned how my grandson, who he's only 9, and I've recently introduced him to the concept of rage games, and he said that my games were unintentionally rage games. So I'm trying to address that, and yesterday what I did was I expanded the colliders on those mobile controls, and that didn't seem to have any effect. And so I played around with it a little bit more, and I actually figured it out and got it to work. So I'm going to explain what I did to fix that. So if I go into my mobile controls prefab, and then I enable this thumbstick control. So basically I'm giving the player 3 options in my Nindroids game for how to control their ship. One is a thumbstick and a fire button. So this will control your rotation and thrust over here, and then a fire button. And then I also give them the option of what I call a chase reticle, which you can't really tell from here without playing the game. But essentially what I do is I give them a little reticle in front of the ship, and wherever they touch the screen, that reticle will move to that point, and the ship will rotate to face it. And if it's far enough out in front of the ship, it will thrust towards that direction. The other option I give them is what I'm calling arcade buttons. Why didn't that enable? Oh, I actually edited my prefab and I moved them. I did not mean to do that. There we go. Okay. So the arcade buttons, I give them a rotate left, rotate right, thrust, and fire option. So what I tried to do yesterday is these buttons had an image and in the case of the fire button, some text. And I also added, well, they also had a circle collider 2D. And I thought, well, no problem. I will just increase the radius of that circle collider to expand beyond the bounds of that image. That did nothing. So what I ended up doing to fix it is I added another image, basically a duplicate of the image that was there, and I increased the scale of the image. The other thing I did was I set the alpha of the image to 0 so it would be invisible. So there's the image in its expanded state with the alpha turned up, and then I just turn that down to make it invisible. This area is now clickable. And the reason that works is because I'm using something, I'm using the I pointer down handler and I pointer up handler that's provided by the Unity Engine event systems. Those guys are looking for canvas elements like images. They weren't looking at the collider that was on my component. So by adding an image, even though it's invisible because I turned the alpha down, it recognizes that as a clickable area. And so I'll demonstrate that in action. I will click play here. And so now when my ship appears, if I click even outside that area, you can see that it is honoring the button. So I did the same thing for the thumbstick control. So I can actually grab the thumbstick outside of the handle area. So I can grab it from out here, and I can fire outside of the button here, and it will fire. So I did the same thing for the chase reticle, but you get the point. I pushed those changes to source control already. And so if I go and look, you can see that I had a build about 40 minutes ago that completed. And if I look at the details for that build, you will see that my post-build script published it successfully to the Apple App Store. So I am working on a tutorial front to back from scratch of posting an app to the Apple App Store, specifically for those that do not have a Mac, which I think will be a very useful video for people. But if we go over here to my App Store Connect page and I go into test flight, we should see the new build. And here it is. That was build 29, and it says missing compliance, manage. And it basically wants me to say whether or not I'm using encryption in my app. And now I can start internal testing. So I believe now if I go to my iPad, I'm going to switch views here for a second. So I'm going to get out my iPad. And I notice it's kind of hard to see on the camera, but if I go into my test flight app, well, it's showing build 28. You probably can't see that very well on the camera. So it looks like this has not updated yet to build 29. Let me just go exit this again real quick. And is there anything I need to do in here? I have internal testing. I need to tell it to use build 29, which isn't available here. Why is that not available? Okay, this should be available for internal testing. Oh, it's in testing. All right, let me go back into test flight here. And there it is. You probably can't see that little text there, but it does say version 3.3, build 29. I'm going to click update, and I'm going to allow it to update to that build. And it is taking its own sweet time. I don't know if it's because I'm streaming and I'm using up a lot of bandwidth, but it is definitely downloading very, very, very slowly. Yeah, it's barely even making any progress on that download. So what else can we look at while that's doing that? I can talk a little bit about the roadmap of what I want to do coming up. I mentioned yesterday I'm going to work on a tutorial for building an app for the Apple App Store. And it is a very convoluted process involving creating all kind of certificates and provisioning profiles, setting up the Unity Cloud build. I will talk a little bit about the bash script that I'm using. I downloaded this, and I will include a link to the GitHub page where I got this. But essentially, you just add this script somewhere in your project, and then in your cloud build config, you add a link to this or a path to this for your post build step of your cloud build. And then you have to create some environment variables. So it wants 3 environment variables. It wants target name. It wants your iTunes username, which is basically the email address that you use for your Apple developer account. And it wants a iTunes password, but that password is actually an app-specific password that you create using the Apple Developer Portal. And so I will explain all of that when I do my tutorial. But if I go back into my cloud build and I look at config, let's see. So you see under post build script, if I switch to my monitor here. So I'm in my cloud build, and I've got this post build script here that points to where I put in that bash file. So if I go back in here, and this is a very, very simple script. It's basically just using this XCRun alt tool to upload your app, your build, to the Apple App Store. It builds a path to it based on your target name, and then it uses the credentials that you specify in these environment variables to make the API call to the Apple App Store to upload your build. And this is totally free. I was using a third-party Windows app called Apple App Uploader to do this, but it was free for a year, and then that expired, and I have to actually pay for it if I want to continue using it. But then I discovered while I was diagnosing an issue with that this post-build script was available, and it works great with Unity Cloud Build, and it's free. So yes, going back into my build configuration, I point to this bash script, and then I have my environment variables, which I'm not going to click edit because then you would actually see my secret user ID and password. The target name has to match what you have up here under your basic info target name, except that instead of spaces, you want to replace them with a hyphen. And it seems to not be case sensitive because I used all lowercase for that and it worked perfectly. So let me see. It looks like it still hasn't updated my app. So this is disappointing that my iPad is taking so long to download my update to Ninja Eggs. I just want to check my Wi-Fi settings. I'm on my Wi-Fi network. Let's see. It's open, or it's updated. I can now open it. So it shows my little from the developer, tells what to test, and I say I expanded the clickable area for the mobile controls. Next, it says share feedback. I can take screenshots, send to the developer directly from the beta app, and it gives me a link here to start testing. So my game is running on the iPad. I'll go into my mobile games and click Ninjaroids. I'm going to lay this down. I know it's kind of hard to see with the glare and everything. I apologize for that. But now I want to see just how forgiving these buttons are. And I'm definitely clicking outside of the clickable area. Of course, I still got killed, but this is definitely going to be more forgiving for the user. I don't have to really look down and make sure my fingers are right over the button. All right, so it is working. I'm very pleased with that. I'm going to have to send a message to my daughter and grandson to say, hey, update this on your iPhone, so you can check it out and see if it works better for you. So if you haven't already, please do me a favor and click that like and subscribe button. It's totally free. It doesn't cost you anything, and it really helps me out on my channel to get this content in front of as many people as possible. If you found this useful, let me know with a comment in the chat. And if you have any questions about anything that I've covered, just drop me a message and I'll respond to it as soon as I can. And please let me know if you have any suggestions of what you'd like to see covered in the future. And like I mentioned, I do plan to do a full tutorial from beginning to end of how to set up a Unity game app for publishing on the Apple App Store, how to set up all your credentials, your Unity Cloud build, source control, everything from beginning to end. And I'm also going to work on a tutorial for a remake of the arcade classic Star Castle. I think that would be a fun project, and I'm going to do that from scratch. I know I've been live streaming, adding these mini games to my Ninja Eggs game, but I thought people might benefit from seeing development of a game from scratch, starting from the very beginning, creating your Unity project, importing whatever assets we're going to use, and so forth. So hopefully you find this content useful and entertaining. If you do, again, please click that like and subscribe button and share a link to my channel with your friends. And look back for more videos in the future. In fact, if you wouldn't mind clicking that notification icon so you can be notified the next time I upload a video or the next time I go live. In the meantime, I look forward to seeing you in the future. Thanks again for watching.